Hello, everyone. My name is Nicola Montagna. Just going to give it a minute for everyone to kind of pass into the live event, and we'll get started at around 2:33 p.m. on direct forgiveness. You guys can just sit tight for just another minute as everyone filters in, and we'll get started. We have the Q&A, so you can submit questions that come up throughout the presentation, and we'll try to answer most of them live. And this will be recorded as well, and we'll post it and send out the link to folks. All right, it is just about 2:33. We've got almost 2,000 borrowers on the line, which is excellent. And we're going to get started. All right, so the purpose of today's webinar is to go over at a high level direct forgiveness and the COVID revenue reduction score, and then to give you a inside view into the portal and really make sure you're equipped to submit your 3508S and receive your forgiveness. So part of the reason we wanted to provide this solution to all of you is because we know that loans of $150,000 or less are representing over 90% of the outstanding for PPP forgiveness requests, or loans that haven't been submitted for forgiveness yet from PPP. And that's about 6 million loans. And that includes all of you. So we wanted to make sure that you have a route to quickly and efficiently submit your forgiveness request before your payments start coming due, so that you can get this burden off your shoulders as we head into the fall. So we've developed two solutions, direct forgiveness and the COVID revenue reduction score, to help you with this. So over 3.2 million loans are eligible for direct forgiveness, and over 1,100 lenders have opted in to this program. And we've had, this number is even stale, we now have almost 200,000 forgiveness submissions, and at an average of about, I believe it's 6 minutes, Bennington, of submission time. So it's really fast, and we've seen that through hundreds of thousands of folks already submitting. So for lenders that have opted in, the borrower, you will submit your forgiveness application for your first draw and your second draw loan through the SBA platform. It's a single secure platform that we'll walk you through in just a few minutes. And once you finish your submission, we will notify your lender that you have done that forgiveness application, and they will come in, review that submission, and provide the forgiveness decision. So it's just a streamlined route to getting that forgiveness on your PPP loan. And we're leveraging a lot of the data that you already provided us when you got your loan to fill out that form for you. And so there's really only about 10 or so fields that you'll fill out yourself when you go through this process, because we're able to pull that data in from from your loan application. Borrowers, you'll continue to submit your application through your lender, so you won't use direct forgiveness in the following scenarios. So first, if somehow you got the link to this webinar, but your lender actually hasn't opted in, you won't be able to use this portal. If your loan is above $150,000, you won't be able to apply directly. If you don't agree with any of the data in the system, you'll most likely apply through your lender, and we'll kind of talk you through that, and you'll see it live in just a few minutes. And then any other reason that the platform might not accept your application, but rest assured, this is in a very small number of cases. It really will only apply in certain one-off situations. The vast majority of folks will be able to apply through that direct forgiveness portal if their lender is opted in and they have a loan under $150,000 or less. On the COVID revenue reduction score, just to give you a background of what it is, on your second draw loan, you are likely asked to certify or provide documents that you experienced a 25% revenue reduction year over year in order to qualify for the loan. So we know that providing documents to prove this eligibility requirement can be tedious. You might not know what documents you can apply with. You might not have anything prepared yet. So we wanted to provide an alternate solution for you all and for your lenders. And so we developed this score with a contractor of ours, Dun & Bradstreet. It's based on a number of inputs, including macroeconomic data, credit card traffic, foot traffic, etc., to compile this revenue reduction score. And we've scored all second draw PPP loans of $150,000 or less and made it available to all lenders, whether or not they opted in to direct forgiveness. So for example, Bank of America did not opt into direct forgiveness at this time, but they have been using the COVID revenue reduction score for their borrowers. So if you get a passing score, or we can validate with the score that you had that 25% revenue reduction, that is sufficient documentation needed for your second draw forgiveness application. If you're applying through direct forgiveness, you'll see this in the portal in just a few minutes. It'll show that you have that passing score and you don't need to upload any other documents. Since you have a loan of $150,000 or less in direct forgiveness, that there would be no other documentation that you would possibly need to upload, so you can just breeze right through without uploading anything. If you've already provided documents to your lender, they'll rely on that to when they're assessing the forgiveness decision. If you have a failing score, it only means that the score could not validate that 25% revenue reduction, and you can still provide documentation to validate that, and you can do that either through your lender if you're applying through your lender, or in the direct forgiveness portal, there is an option to upload documents. So it'll say, you did not receive a passing COVID revenue reduction score. Please upload supporting documentation here to validate that. Documentation will override the score, so if you've provided your lender with documentation that shows that you did not have a 25% revenue reduction, that would override any passing score. And just at the top, we'll give you a few of the resources before I kick it over to Nitin. The platform can be accessed by visiting directforgiveness.sba.gov. That's what we're going to walk you through today. You can call our hotline that's stood up specifically for this program at 877-552-2692, open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. And the call times there, we're fielding thousands of borrowers, probably upwards of 10,000 borrowers so far since we opened that call center, with really quick answer times, as little as 7 seconds, to get you the answers you need as you submit this application. And then finally, you can find even more information at sba.gov/PPP forgiveness. There is a lender opt-in list. It has those 1,100 lenders that I mentioned that have opted in. It has a link to a knowledge base, which is kind of like a live database of questions and answers that we've been getting most frequently and filling out answers directly from our policy and systems teams. So you can access that both at sba.gov, or you'll be able to find it in the platform as well. So now I'll kick it over to Nitin from our summit, who helped create this amazing process for you all to walk you through the portal directly. Awesome. Are you speaking yet, Nitin?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Now I can, yeah, I just can't. Now we're seeing me. There we go. Now we see the portal. Cool.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Nicola. Good afternoon. So as a borrower, I would go to directforgiveness.sba.gov. So that's a key. If you are applying for a forgiveness as a borrower, so you would type directforgiveness.sba.gov. As soon as you do it on your browser, you will see an option where it will suggest you to register to start your request, right? There's a customer service number which is also available, as Nicola was pointed out, 877-552-2692. You have any questions, feel free to call them. There is a direct forgiveness user guide which is available, which also talks about, and if you click this document, it will just download for you. And then if you open it, it also goes through different screens. How can you fill in the application if you have any questions, right? I will click on this, register to start your request. Once I do that, it asks me to create my username. So I can use any username which I will remember. So I can type Nitin_demo. I can put my email address. So I will type my email address, and this email address I'm just typing here. And then once I do that, I need to put the password, and the password should be minimum 12 characters, including at least one uppercase, one lowercase. So the guidelines are mentioned here. So I will set up the password, and I will put this text image, and then I will do a sign up. Once I do that, I will get an email confirmation, which will allow me to go inside the portal. I already did that for this demo. So I'm entering my user ID, which I created, and I'm putting my password. As I do that, I'm signing in. So now it is asking for your security. As part of my registration, I provided them with my cell phone number. Now it is asking me to provide that token, the text which I have got. So I'm looking at my cell phone and I have a text from SBA, and it has a number which I'm typing in. This number will always change. Oh, whatever number came on my text message, I just typed that and I'm saying verify myself. I have verified myself. So now I'm into the portal. On the left hand side, you see that it provides you with the guidelines that it takes 10 minutes or less. So till now, what have I done? I have created my username. I put my password. I have authenticated my email address. I have given my cell phone number for two-factor authentication, and it's just used for this purpose. And then I'm inside the application. You can see that it suggests you to start a new forgiveness request. So as a borrower, when I come in, the first thing which I'm doing now is to start my forgiveness request. So I'm clicking on this button, and now it's asking me to provide my EIN or SSN or ITIN. Now this is what you had used for your loan application, right? So you would be providing that, whatever you used for your loan, PPP loan application, as well as it's asking you for the PPP loan amount. So I have a test data with me. So the number which I'm putting is a test EIN number. It's not a real EIN for our demo, which I'm using. And I'm putting the loan amount. So the loan amount I'm putting for 130,000, and I'm asking find your loan, right? So you see that, it was able to find that I have two different loans, right? So as you could see, that loan amount which I had entered was 130,000, and the actual loan which I took was 135. So we keep getting these questions that does the loan amount which the borrower needs to enter, does it need to match to the cents and everything? No. So the system is smart enough, and it takes care of any allowance here. So if it is close to 135, just like my loan amount was 130, it will allow you and it will authenticate. So I have put, as you can see, I have two PPP loan draws which are pending. I have a draw one forgiveness which is pending, and I have draw two forgiveness which is pending. So it has shown both of them. So I will select the first one because I want to start with the draw one. But even if you want to start with draw two, that's absolutely allowed. So you can either choose draw one or draw two if both of them are pending for you. So I choose the select option here, and then I'm inside the application. where I need to provide the information which I could not, or which the system could not automatically populate from your loan application. So you can see on the left-hand side is again the support phone number. So as you are going through this application, if you have any questions, feel free to give a call to the support phone number. Here your lender name will be available. My loan amount is 135,001. And then I haven't started the application yet, so that's why you don't see a forgiveness amount, right? And then you can see your SBA loan number as well as the lender loan number, which is available here. Now the application, whatever is grayed out, that's the information which we could already get from your loan application. So your business legal name, DBA name, business tax identification number, phone number, business address. You don't need to provide that because we already have that information from your loan application. Whatever you need to enter is highlighted with this red asterisk mark, which you can see here. And it also tells you indicates mandatory field. So you are looking at this information now to provide the data. So I choose my title. So for example, I am a owner. And what's my primary contact name? So I'm entering my name, Nitin. My email address is already populated from my loan application. The NACIS code. So this also gets populated automatically from my loan application. Right? So it's a first draw loan. The loan amount was 135,000. Everything is already populated. The loan disbursement date is also populated. Now, what you need to provide is the covered period. Start date is also same as the loan disbursement date. You will choose the covered period. So this is the period which you used for using the PPP loan for the eligible expenses. So you have an option to choose 8 weeks. So if I do 8 weeks, then the covered period end date automatically gets populated, which is 8 weeks from, in this example, 10th May 2020, which was same as the loan disbursement date. If I choose 24 weeks, then it goes out to 24 weeks. Depending on your situation, you are going to choose that. If you want to choose between 8 and 24 weeks, that's also an option. If you want to choose your own date, that's also an option. So we have all these options which are available, which you may be able to use, right? Most of the folks will end up, most of the borrowers will end up using either the 8 weeks or 24 weeks, but again, system supports depending on your situation. The question mark which you see, that's basically guiding you for the fields where you may have a question, right? So it tells you that what's the covered period, generally the period of time you used your loan proceeds for eligible costs. So you can choose 8 weeks, 24 weeks, as I was saying. So wherever you see question mark, it's basically giving you some guidance around this field. But again, if you have a question, feel free to reach out to SBA experts, and they are available to answer your questions at this number. Employees at the time of loan application, I'm just making up a number, 11. Amount of loan spent on payroll, we know it has to be at least 60% of the loan amount. So in this case, I'm entering 130,000. What's the requested forgiveness amount? So in most cases, the forgiveness amount should match your loan amount. So it's guiding you here that if you have used your PPP loan for the eligible expenses which were allowed. So for example, I used 130,000 for payroll and remaining $5,001 for the remaining eligible expenses, then I can ask for the complete forgiveness. And I'm entering here 135,001. And that should take care of it, right? It's important that you take a look at this field. It's one of the important fields, because if you match it with the loan amount, assuming you used it for the right eligible expenses, then you will not have any loan amount pending once the forgiveness has taken place. So this field is important. Now, the demographic details, this is optional. If you would like to provide that information, you can provide that. I'm entering that information. Nitin, principal position, I'm entering director, veteran status, non-veteran, gender, male, ethnicity, not disclosed, race, Asian, and then I can go to the next one, right? But again, this is a optional information, and it is telling you that this information is optional. For our demo, I added that information. Now you will click next, and it takes you to the documentation tab. Important point to note here is that it is clearly calling that there is no documents which are required. So as Nicola was talking about, that SBA has identified and worked this concept of a COVID revenue reduction score. And based on that, this particular borrower was found to be eligible, and therefore there's no documents which are required from this borrower to submit their forgiveness application. And you can see it is clearly calling it out, no documents required. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm just going to move to summary. And basically I'm ready to, e-sign my application. So it's giving you a summary that this was the business name, this is the tax identification number, this is the SBA number, this is the loan number, address, contact phone, my email address. I'm asking for the full forgiveness, $135,001. On the left hand side also this has got populated as 135,001. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this, submit and continue to electronic signature. Once I do that, there is an integration which we have done with the e-signature platform DocuSign, which will allow you to fill this 3508S form, right? So all this information will be pre-filled. So the business legal name, DBA name, the business address, NACIS code, tax identification number, everything which you saw on that application, which we just went through, is all pre-filled here. You are just expected to quickly take a look at it and then sign this application. So I'm doing an initial, adopt an initial. So I'm doing this, I'm signing the application and I'm finished. Once I do that, my application gets submitted. So now I'm, as a borrower, I'm done. I have submitted the application, which the lender will take a look at it. And once they review and approve it, SBA is going to take a look at it. And once they approve it, the status here will become SBA review. And if it is approved, then you will also see your payment letter being made available here, which you can click and download your payment letter to say that as a borrower, you have met all the criteria which were required for forgiveness. It is 100% paid off, and then you don't owe any loan from a PPP perspective because it has been 100% forgiven, right? So you will see all that options being made available here. Again, it's clearly calling that out that you have submitted your request. No action is required at this time. And as this application keeps moving along, you will also get an email notification. So as of now, if I refresh this, you can see the application has been submitted to the lender, right? And it is also telling you that you don't have to do anything as a borrower. Application has been submitted to the lender. Once lender reviews and approves it within a day or two, most probably, then you will see the lender decision of approval coming in. And after that, the SBA review and approval also takes, within a few days, the SBA will make a decision and you will see the SBA decision of approval in most cases. And you will see the payment letter link being made available here where you can click and download that. Now, if I want to continue with my second draw application also in this case, so what I can do is I can then click this button, and it is also telling you start a new forgiveness request, because remember when I started, I had both the first draw and second draw. So I'm going to push this button again. And if I take that EIN which I had and put the amount, say find your loan, it finds my loan, right? The first one I just submitted, so it is saying your forgiveness request was previously submitted. And then the second one I'm eligible to apply, so I can continue with the same process and apply for my PPP loan draw 2 as well. So if I select this, you see it's the same application which comes in, and now as a borrower, I can complete this application as well and be done with both the first draw and second draw within few minutes. Hey, Nicola.
Hey, all right, so we have a few questions, and Tim, if you could leave up the portal view and I can talk through them.
Sure.
Might want to. You can keep sharing and then just maybe minimize that one. Oh man. All right, one moment. So there we go. All right. So first we had a question about, and it might be helpful, and Tim, we might need you to pull that back up again, the portal view, but they put in their business phone number, but it's a landline in the two-factor validation or verification step. How can they change that phone number to a cell phone number so that they can provide the validation when they're signing in.
So they can always reach out to the SBA support team, right? And they should be able to help them. So the question was that initially they have provided their landline number, and for two-factor authentication, it requires a cell phone number, correct? Is that what the question was?
Exactly.
Yeah, so in that case, till the time they complete the two-factor authentication, it's going to ask them to provide the cell phone number, right? With land phone number, they will not get the message. But in case they have any questions, they can reach out to the SBA support team and they should be able to help them.
Great. So reach out to this number listed here at 877-552-2692, and you can get that number changed. We've gotten a lot of questions about when you're entering the portal and you enter your loan amount to pull up your application. Do you apply in separate applications for your first and second draw? Do you enter the full amount that you got in that field? And the answer here is you'll send 2 different applications, one for your first draw, one for your second draw. And so that would mean if you're using your loan amount rather than the loan number to pull up your application, that you should separate those loan amounts. So when you're applying for your first draw, plug in your first draw amount only, fill out that application, and then come back to the portal, put in your second draw amount, and fill out that application. Anything to add there, Nitin, or others that I might have missed?
No, I think you're right? So this start with the tax identification number and the loan amount. The loan amount does not need to match it with the penny or cents. System does understand that, you may remember the approximate loan amount, and that's fine. System will take care of it. But for first draw and second draw, so first you provide your first draw loan amount, fill in the application. System will show you if you have both the first draw and second draw pending. System will figure that out and show you. But when you come back for the second draw, then you provide the second draw loan amount, and then you should be able to continue with the application.
Great. So here's a question that might be best for you, Diana or Ginger. Should I select a period that is far out enough so that I have paid 60% payroll? I don't know if we want to cover kind of like covered period times and forgiveness amounts, or amounts needed on payroll to qualify for forgiveness.
Sure. So the covered period can be anywhere, as you know, from 8 to 24 weeks. So the covered period was expanded to up to 24 weeks to give borrowers time to use the proceeds for payroll as required. So at that point in time where you have expended at a minimum 60% of the proceeds for payroll and the rest for other covered expenses, you would be eligible to apply for forgiveness, even if that is before the 24-week period. So, depending upon when you received your loan and how, your staffing went through that period of time, you might be able to do that in 10 weeks or 16 weeks, or it may take the full 24 weeks, but you want to have full forgiveness. So at the moment that you have expended the funds, if it's $100,000, $60,000 at a minimum on payroll, and you've used the other $40,000 for covered expenses such as rent, utilities, interest, protective equipment, then you would be eligible to apply for and theoretically receive full forgiveness on that. So if it takes you 8 weeks, that's fine. If it takes you 24 weeks, that's also fine.
Awesome, thank you. Another question here is, I received 2 first draw loans and then second one through first draw through Wells, and then second draw through Wampley, and then another second draw again. I'm guessing, because you were only able to receive a first draw and a second draw, I'm guessing maybe there was a loan increase something here. And do you think that sounds right, Diana or Ginger?
Yeah, I wouldn't fathom to guess, but if they want to put more details in the chat, around the question, we might be able to help them out.
Yes, and so, but if you did receive an increase, if just covering that scenario. Nitin, is it correct to say that they would enter the amount of the total loan to pull up that application?
Yes, yes. It increased both the initial amount plus the increased loan amount. So that's the total loan amount which gets reflected in the system. You're right.
Right,
Right.
that form says, what was your original loan? What was your loan increase? On the other hand, if you receive 2 different first draw loans from 2 different lenders for the same request, then we probably need to have you talk with the servicing center. So you might want to add some clarity to your question, let us deal with it and get back to you with more detail.
Great. Thank you, Diana. I saw in my portal, it shows SBA fully approved. Does that mean I don't need to pay the PPP loan back? That would be correct. That's the final status, right, Nitin? That means they're all set.
Yeah, so fully approved means that SBA has made a decision and the SBA has fully approved them. Yep.
Awesome. So lucky for you. See a couple of those in here, which is great. What's the due date to submit the forgiveness? So while most folks will have either 2 or 5 years, we're really encouraging you all to submit for forgiveness as soon as possible after the end of your covered period. So we're going to hold these trainings weekly. Next time, if you have the ability to pull this training up and listen as you go through your own application, you can try it that way. We've had almost 200,000 folks apply already with average time of 10 minutes or less. So we really have tried to make it as simple as possible. And if you apply sooner, that means the sooner you can get this burden off your shoulders. You won't have to start making payments. And you'll get to this SBA fully approved status as some of these other folks on the line have already gotten to. All right, so it's telling me that the validation of my identity failed. I also had problems when I originally signed up. So I think that, Nitin, they should probably call the call center, right, to help them get into the portal and validate their identity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if they are getting any message which they were not expecting, feel free to call this SBA experts on the SBA Direct Forgiveness hotline, the number which Nicola had on her screen, right? And they should be able to help you there.
Great. Do Nitin, you or Ben have any information on how long it's typically taking in this direct forgiveness process to get to that SBA approval stage? Like how fast lenders are responding to these submissions and getting it back to us, just on average?
Yeah, so great question. What we have seen is that most of the lenders are making a decision within a day or two. And as soon as they make a decision, the application goes to the SBA, and SBA, again, SBA has the time which they may take, but at an average, SBA will generally make a decision within few days. And once SBA approves it, you should be able to see the decision available on your portal as fully approved. And once the payment letter gets generated, which is generally after a day or two, once you see that status, you will be able to see that payment letter, which you can download for your records to say that, yeah, your loan was fully approved, your lender has been paid, and you don't owe anything to the lender. So all that information will be made available through that letter.
Yeah, and the limiting factor right now on the time frame is the lender. So the borrower application is taking less than 10 minutes, closer to 6 minutes on average. And we are decisioning almost instantaneously once the lender has made the decision. But it's up to the lender to come into the lender portal to make that decision per the statute. So the delay is typically on the lender side. I'm sure they've got lots of competing priorities, but as far as the borrower's responsibility and the agency's responsibility, those two things are firing really fast. And obviously the lender, a lot of lenders are obviously firing fast as well.
Great. So 2 related questions. We had a question that was, can you just remind us where we see the status of where we're at And so that can be accessed by logging into your account at directforgiveness.sba.gov, and it's that status on the bottom left corner. That's correct, right, Nitin?
Yes. Do you want me to do a quick screen
Yeah.
share? Show that?
Yeah, that would be great.
Let-
And so while Nitin brings that up, someone else asked, I've applied for the forgiveness for the first draw loan and I'm awaiting for the decision. If they approve the first draw, how long do I have to wait to apply for the forgiveness of the second draw loan? And I don't know if anyone else wants to jump in here, but I think that they shouldn't have to wait for the full decision to apply for forgiveness of their second draw loan. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Technically, you can apply for both the first draw as well as second draw simultaneously, right? And you don't have to wait for a decision of a particular draw of application before applying for the second draw. So you can apply both of them at the same time.
Great.
And on the status, you can see at the left-hand side bottom. This is
we
status.
can't see your screen right now for some reason. Just give it one more second.
Can you see it?
Yeah, now we can. Great.
Okay. Yeah. So on the left-hand side, you will be able to see the status. And for this application, which I just submitted as part of this demo, the status is submitted to lender. And once lender approves it, you will see it will say lender approved. Once against the lender decision, lender approved and no action required. Once SBA approves it, you will see the SBA review decision fully approved if SBA fully approves it. And then once the payment letter gets generated, you will have a link here using which you can download that letter for your records.
Awesome. So I see some folks asking about how they can get a second draw. Unfortunately, the PPP funds exhausted back in May. And so if you hadn't already received a second draw, you will not be able to receive any money going forward through PPP, but you can get your loan, your first draw forgiven. So relieving that burden of having to make payments and pay off that loan.
Yeah, and I would also point out that there's also an opportunity to receive a COVID EIDL loan still. A COVID EIDL loan is not a forgivable loan, but it does have some particularly strong aspects. It's a 3.75% fixed rate, means that rate will stay the same for 30 years to repay with no prepayment penalties. And there's a 24-month deferment period where no principal and interest payments are due. So if you took out a $10,000 note, so the average size of PPP loans that did not ultimately get funding in May, for example, was right around 14,000. If you got 10,000, that's basically $28 a month for the next 30 years. So it's a subordinate loan. You don't need collateral. Under $25,000, there's no personal guarantees or collateral. So it has all of the characteristics of PPP, but it is not forgivable. That is the one thing that is different. But it's and it goes up to currently goes up to 500,000, and next week it goes up to 2 million. So that is an opportunity for folks to get additional working capital. It covers debt. You can use proceeds to prepay commercial debt, make payment on other types of debt, payroll, obviously, like the PPP. You can make utility payments, etc. So that is available right now. There's still about $225 billion left in that program. That's a really good additional thing now that the second draw PPP is no longer available.
Great, thank you, Patrick. All right, so we have a question. My lender, Wells Fargo, is not showing as a participating lender. Should we expect this to change? Are more lenders planning to participate? And the answer is they are still able to opt in at any time. So if you think that it would be beneficial for you, you should tell your lender. So you should go to Wells Fargo and you should tell them you think they should sign up for this, to encourage them to sign up. Another question. This one's like a little bit of a toughie, Diana and Ginger. So I don't know if you have any guidance here or if this might be a specific situation, but they wrote, I received second draw money even before the covered period for the first draw was over. That created overlapping. How can this problem of overlapping be solved?
That is a question we probably need to take a look at offline. It doesn't honor the requirements of the program. The requirements of the program is that you can't use the money for the same purpose at the same time. So it is an issue. I'm not sure what the answer would be to resolve it. So I would recommend sending it in so that we can take a look at it and sort through the facts. Just try and provide as many of the facts on the incoming as possible, including the loan numbers of both, and the overlapping period, if you want to identify the overlapping period. But the point is, if you're getting $10,000 for 10 weeks and you're getting your second draw $10,000 for a different 10 weeks, then how can the same money be accounted for and used during an overlapping period? And that's the challenge with that. So I'm not sure what the answer is in terms of a resolution.
Great, that's helpful though, Diana. So for those of you who have similar questions, you can call the call center and reach out to a field office to give kind of specific information on your loans, and we'll go from there. Nitin, so we've got about 3 minutes left, so we're going to answer a few more questions. Nitin, a question here about the account that they use to sign into this portal. So they're saying if I have an SBA loan or I'm registered with Womply, do we have to register again to access this portal, or can I use my same account?
Yeah, so a great question. But so this is a portal for SBA, from SBA, for your direct forgiveness application. It's different from what you have been using directly with Womply or any other lenders or software providers. So you would come here and first register into the application. So once you will log in here, right, and I will show you. So you will go to directforgiveness.sba.gov and everybody would have to first register to start their request. So that's the first step which everybody would have to take.
Great, thank you. All right. Someone asked, I'm a self-employed 1099 with 3 workers that I pay. How do I show that I lost over 25% of my jobs? I think this may be conflating 2 things. So the 25% reduction was a revenue reduction. So it was showing that, you made less in an equivalent quarter in 2020, 25% less than you did in that same quarter in 2019. But again, if you're applying through the direct forgiveness portal and you have a passing COVID score, you don't need to supply any documents that validate that.
I think the other issue that maybe Diana or Ginger can speak to, it sounded like they're self-employed individual, but they had on payroll 1099s, if I heard that correctly. And so their self-employed individual wages are eligible through their 2019 Schedule C, but the 1099 would not be. The 1099s needed to apply direct, but Diana, just clean that up or maybe speak to that.
Right. So, if all of your income came from 1099s that you receive from third parties, so you did a lot of services, they each gave you a 1099, that would be reported on your Schedule C, and it would filter down to your net and allow you to calculate your benefit for you. If you have 3 employees that you also treat as 1099 employees and you give them a 1099 and you don't withhold taxes and you don't cover, benefits, etc., then they individually would have been eligible to apply for and receive the same thing that you did, basically a PPP loan based on their 1099 income.
Yeah, and so if you use the proceeds of this to support their paycheck, that would not be eligible towards the 60% threshold. But typically for self-employed individuals, I guess maybe Diana, just talk about how they could make themselves eligible for full forgiveness.
Right. Well, I mean, if you use the proceeds of the loan, actually, I'm not sure that they could. Patrick, I'd have to think through that for a minute, because the maximum loan you would have been eligible for is $20,833.
Yeah.
And that's based on your Schedule C income. So it depends upon how much loan you got. And of course, you have 24 weeks to use that money to pay yourself. But if you got money not just for yourself, but for those other individuals, I don't know. You know, I honestly don't know that there's a way to do that. Absent a few more details on the question, you know, I would qualify that with, you know, you're not going to get forgiveness on money that you gave to another business owner, which is basically, or that you provided to another business owner. And particularly if they did get a separate loan, PPP loan for their own independent business as well. So we may need it's one of those situations, it sounds like, if you'd like to put all the details in writing and get us something in, we can understand better what the situation is to see if there is some alternative we can recommend.
Great. All right. I think that's all we have time for today. But again, we're going to hold these weekly at 2:30. So we have most, if not all, of your emails. So look out for another note from the SBA if you would like to attend again. We also are recording the training, and we'll look to post it to sba.gov as well. And if you haven't already submitted for forgiveness, you should go ahead and do it right now while this is fresh in your mind, or once we send out the recording, pull it up and play it while you submit your own through the portal. And it'll honestly take longer to rewatch the training than it will to submit. So we'll see you guys all next week if you haven't already submitted. Thank you.